On a snowy day back in December of 2022, I was scrolling through Facebook Marketplace as I usually do, searching for some cameras, searching for some deals on film, and I came across this person selling some old film stock. I'm like, oh, okay, this must be a little bit expensive. And back then, I didn't really dabble into expired film. I didn't dabble into buying film from other people. The only place I ever bought film was from the camera store. So I was looking at this film stock, and this guy had about 50 rolls of film, and he was selling everything for like $75. So I'm like, hey, I will give you 80 bucks for everything. I'll come there right away. Where are you? Turns out it was about an hour and a half away, but I was getting all of this film for 80 bucks. I got in the car, drove all the way there, drove all the way back, picked it up, and the rest is history. I came out with a couple of rolls of MPH 400 expired. I came back with a couple of rolls of Acros 100 expired, but I came back with a ton of NPS 160. Let's talk about it. If you're new here, my name is Ebby. I'm a film shooter based in Toronto, Canada. And if you like these type of videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel because a lot of you are not subscribed. According to the data sheet I found for this film is known for a lot of different things, but some of the things that really stood out to me is that it's known for its accurate and realistic color representation, extremely fine grain and high sharpness for the achievement of realistic texture and depth, as well as greatly improved color image stability under dark storage conditions. This film, the guy that I bought it from said his dad got really into film back in the 1990s, early 2000s, and bought a lot of this film, and he never got around to shooting with it, and this film ended up being stored in the basement of the house. Yes, I know, it wasn't stored in the fridge, it wasn't stored in the freezer, it was stored in the basement in the box and covered almost its entire life, which is why I was able to get it for such a good deal. In terms of the history of this film, Fuji stopped making this film NPS 160 in 2004. They moved on to start making the Fuji NS 160, which they stopped production of in 2021, as well as when they stopped making 400H. Odds are, if you're looking to buy NPS 160, you're definitely going to be buying expired film. You can probably get it on eBay, or if you're as lucky as I am, you can get it on Facebook Marketplace. Fuji advertised this film as a portrait film. So if you look at the cover of the box here, it does say Fuji Color Portrait Film. So most likely, if you're ever going to find this film stock being shot back in the days, it was mostly going to be shot at a portrait studio for portrait sessions, for family photos, for things like that. But as you know, I don't really shoot portraits here on this channel. I'm going to be shooting street style photography, so that's what I'm going to be using this film stock for. This particular batch that I have expired back in 2002, so I'm going to be using the mostly well-known trick when it comes to shooting expired film of one stop per 10 years. So this was expired in 2022, so I'm going to be dropping it 2 stops. So I'm going to be either shooting it at 80, or if my meter says f8, I'll shoot it at f100 5.6, which is dropping it 2 stops, just so I can get the proper exposure for this film. On this particular day where I shot this footage, it was supposed to be a nice sunny day, but here in Canada, you can never ever rely on the weather. So when I went out, it was a cloudy, gloomy day. I still shot the film stock anyways. I have shot a lot more of this film stock, and I'm going to be talking about all of them later. But on this particular day when I went out to shoot this film stock and filmed it, here's what I was able to get. On this particular day, I wanted to go around the airport because it was supposed to be a nice sunrise, but the sky, the sunlight, everything wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. First thing I figured out is that you cannot, once I got the film back, is that you cannot shoot a moving airplane at 5.6 and 80 ISO. Yes, you get good exposure, but like the plane will not be in focus, so the plane's not in focus. And then I got this shot, and this shot was definitely a hoot. For this shot, I had to reach over the fence, and I couldn't even see my exact composition, but I did get a good shot here on this one. got this film developed in my local film lab here called Downtown Camera. They do amazing work when it comes to developing all my film. I've never really had any issues with them. I scanned this film by myself on my Epson V600 scanner, converted them in Negative Light Pro, and I gave every single shot here the exact same editing. All I did was boost saturation a bit and boost sharpness a little bit just so we can get proper images to take a look at. In total, I'd say I got about 28 rolls of Fuji NPS 160 and I've shot about 15 rolls of them. And one thing I can say when it comes to this film stock, according to this batch that I have, is that it gives very inconsistent results. The batch came out in so many different ways that it's hard to say anything for sure about this film stock. Some of them came out with a purple tint on them, some of them came out with a green tint on them, some of them came out with a warmish, purplish, greenish tint to them. There was, even within the same batch, within the same roll, I'd get rolls that were purple, rolls that were green, rolls that were warm. It didn't give one specific type of result that I can specifically talk about and say that this is how this film stock looks like. And again, that's what you get when you're shooting expired film, especially one that wasn't stored in a fridge or a freezer. At first, I tried to correct the photos, tried to color correct them, make them look some type of way, but I took a look online trying to find some sort of way where this was supposed to look like, where I can push them in the right direction, but then I ended up leaving them the way that they were, because that's what it is, right? You can never really correct expired film, because expired film is what it is. You get what you get and you deal with it. If you don't know, most expired film do tend to come out a bit purple or magenta depending on how expired they are, where they were stored, and what you decided to shoot with them. In the pictures that came out with a purplish tone, you can see in the highlights it does push a lot towards purple / magenta, which gives it sort of a velvetier slide film sort of look. And in the highlights, if you take a look at these images, or sometimes even in the shadows, you can totally see how the purple just infiltrates the entire image and gives it sort of the feeling that I'm talking about, giving it sort of a velvetier / slide film sort of look. And those tones, those purplish looks, are what really made me continue shooting this film, because I really like the tones that came out of there, and it gives it something different than what I already have with, for example, something like Portrait 160. In the warmish tone shots, you can see that the purple doesn't really exist at all. It's giving more of a true to life sort of feel, which is something that I thought I would be getting when I was shooting this, maybe because I'm used to shooting Portrait 160, but it's something that I really thought, maybe this is what this was supposed to look like instead of the purplish tones. I did get a couple of rolls that came out with this warmish tones, but for the most part, everything came out looking really purple. I did also get some shots that have this weirdness going on around the border, as well as some shots that just were not good enough because I didn't give them enough light. So if you are going to be shooting with this film stock, I would suggest overexposing it as much as possible, 2.5, 3 stars depending on how expired it is, just so you can get the best looking results. Something worth noting, especially with this batch that I had, is that I never really knew what I was going to get. And it was always a surprise every time I got my rolls back. I knew I was going to get something, but I didn't know whether it was going to be purple, whether it was going to be blue, whether it was going to be warm. I just didn't know what I was going to get. So it was always a surprise getting something back, but I was excited to shoot this film stock. I don't know if I'm going to be getting more of it, where I'll be getting more of it from, but if I do have the opportunity, I would definitely be picking up some more of NPS 160. In conclusion, as I said, I like the shots I was able to get. I like everything that's come out with this film stock. I'm going to shoot the last couple of rolls that I have. And I know this is a portrait film and I haven't showed you any portraits. I'm going to be shooting some portrait sessions really soon. So stay tuned to this channel for more. I'll shoot a couple of rolls of this just to see what the portrait shots really look like. Because as it says on the box, this is a portrait film. So yeah, I got what I paid for. It's not the best film stock. It is expired film. You never really get what you get something great with expired film unless it's like recently expired, but it is what it is. This is what I have. This was what I was able to get. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on Fuji NPS 160. If you've shot with 160 in the past, let me know your thoughts about it. Again, I'm going to be posting all of this on my blog. I'm going to put the link down below, filmstockreal.com. Make sure you check it out. Make sure you let me know your thoughts about it. If you want to see all the pictures I've taken, it's going to be on my blog. And that brings me to the end of this video. If this video has brought you any value, please make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to my channel, as this goes a long way to making sure I produce more content like this. Until next time, make sure you stay safe, make sure you shoot film, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.